Okay. It says Vayidaber Moshe el Rosh Bnei Yisrael Lema Zeh Hadavar Shatziva Hashem. The pasuk at the beginning of Vayikra of Bamidbar Matos, it says Vayidaber Moshe el Rosh Matos Bnei Yisrael Lema Zeh Hadavar Shatziva Lehem. And then you have the Pasha of Hafaris Nedarim. You have the Pasha of Nedarim and Hafaris Nedarim. Again, it doesn't say anywhere Hafaris Nedarim. Torah we're gonna have to learn out, but it says Hafaris Nedarim. So we said yesterday that if a husband uses the lashon of Chachamim, such as mutalach, 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 it doesn't work. If the Chachamim use the lashon of the Baal of Meifalachi, it doesn't work. That's what we said. Each one doesn't work for the other. Okay. The Ran brought the source, but it says Imhafi Yafer. That's the shirish of what of. That's the source for the lashon of neder of hafer. It says in the Torah Meforish, and the mutalach or moichlin seems to be from an inference. It says lo yachel devarai, hu lo yachel aval acherim yochlin. It's other could be miyachel. So the lashon of chulin to make your words choil, to do away with your words that you could do. I'd like to start just for the Ran on the top of Ayin Chesam and Aleph. Let's see the Yerushalmi. Quotes the Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi mashma the Chacham nami matzah ka'amar ein kan neder ein kan shvua. In other words, in the lashon of HaTorah, we could say ein kan neder ein kan shvua, which we do, right? We do say mutalach, 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 but you all say in the nusach, the matbei of nusach of HaTorah's Nedarim, it says ein kan neder ein kan shvua. The Goris Hasam Baal shama b'lashon chacham v'chacham shasam b'lashon Baal lo yama klum. Each one says according to their various halacha. So you see that you don't just have to say mutalach or moichlincha. The Yerushalmi says the lashon of Chachamim would be ein kan neder, ein kan shvu, which also would be a lashon of HaTorah. Well, if he's there, mashmali, the lishna de meifa shaykh mikan ve'elech, the lishna de muta b'dava shahaya muta me'ikaroi. And from it says the Ran, the lashon that the mashmois of the lashon of mufalach means it's there, guys, and mufa, and it's waved. The lashon ein kan neder ein kan shvua means what? It never was there, and which is true. And that's the reason the Ran said yesterday that you can't mix and match, because each one mechanically takes off the neder in a different way. The Chachamim, they take off the neder limafreya. The Baal takes off the neder mikan lahaba. So therefore, each lashon doesn't help for the other, because again, it's not accomplishing the same thing. So that's what we saw yesterday, and we'll still see it again one more time. I'm Rabbi Yochanan, 3 lines down, Ayin Zayin on the base. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Chacham shama b'lashon Baal, u'Baal shama b'lashon Chacham lo yama klum. They didn't say anything. There's no afar, there's no Torah. It doesn't work. The Tani is zeh hadavar. But this is the davar. HaChacham mater v'ein Baal mater. Zeh hadavar, that the Chacham goes ahead and he uses his lashon, the Baal uses his lashon. So, and now we're going to have a long-winded brisa, very easy brisa. Sheyachal. I might think that what that the Baal could be mater. I would think that the Baal could use his lashon of Torah. Why? Uma chacham, a chacham she'ein mefer, that cannot be made for the neder. Mater is capable of being mater the neder. Baal shemefer, the Baal that can be made for the neder. Einoi din, is it not a din shemater? Is it not a din that you're capable of being mater the neder? So again, ma chacham she'ein mefer mater, Baal shemefer einoi din shemater. That's the kavachayim. Tamid loymar, it says zeh hadava. What does zeh hadava mean? That take the words literally. Look at the Mefarish, guys. Top line, right side. The varim kiksavam. The ein Baal mater dichsiv im hafe yafa isa isha. Dafka what? The Baal, guys. Zeh hadava, guys. What does it mean? Zeh hadava. You look in the parsha of Nedarim. Zeh hadava azoy daf zayin. Baruch, which means you're a putz. No, this is what it means. This is what it means. Zeh hadava, guys. This has to be. And what does it say in the parsha of Nedarim? It says in the parsha, "Vim hafa yafer," but not in mate mutalach mutalach. So therefore, zeh hadava azoy daf zayin. That's the way it has to be. Zeh hadava chacham mate ve'ein Baal mate. Tanya idach another brayso. Zeh hadava Baal mefer ve'ein chacham mefer. The Baal is Mefer and the Chacham can't be Mefer. In other words, this is the Kal V'Chomer the other way. Sheyachol that the Chacham should be able to be Mefer. Uma Baal Shein Mater Mefer, a Baal who can't be Mater in Neder, but could be Mefer in Neder. Chacham Shemater Ein Adin Shemefer. It's the Kal V'Chomer the same way. Hamad Leima Zehadava Baal Mefer Vein Chacham Mefer. This is the way it has to be. Good. Now the Brisa continues and it says we're gonna make a sushtel, guys, from Nedarim to Shchutei Chutz. From Nedarim to Shchutei Chutz. There's a halach in the Torah that if you take a carbon outside the Azara and you shecht it, you chayiv kares. If you take a carbon outside the Azara and you shecht it, you be chayiv kares. That's called Shchutei Chutz. Now it says Zehadava there. Good. So now we're going to go ahead, take Nedarim where it says Zehadava, Shchutei Chutz Zehadava, and learn out from each other. Gzeir Shava. We're going to learn various halachas. So says the Gemara. Nema kan zehadava, v'nema lahalan zehadava b'shchutei chutz. Ma shchutei chutz, Aaron ubanov, it's b'chol Yisrael. It says Aaron ubanov b'chol Yisrael. Af pashas nedarim, Aaron ubanov b'chol Yisrael. It's not just limited to what? To Roshei Matos, which it says over here. Again, Roshei Matos says Vayidaber Moshe Roshei Matos. Right? So therefore, don't think that the parsha of Hafaras Nedarim or Hataras Nedarim is left to Roshei Matos. It's shaykh by Aaron Abanov and Kol Yisrael. Uma kan Roshei Matos, and just like by Nedarim it says Roshei Matos, Afla Halon, so too what? By what? By Shchutei Chutz, Roshei Matos. Good? So again, what did you establish? Guys, Nedar, look at me. Nedarim says Roshei Matos, will apply it to Shchutei Chutz. Shchutei Chutz, it says Kol Bnei Yisrael, will apply it to Nedarim, and not just Roshei Matos. We'll say that it says by here, it says by here. The Parshas Nedarim my Hilchasa. What does the Gezeir Shava accomplish by Parshas Nedarim? What does the Gezeir Shava accomplish by Parshas Nedarim? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov, lahachshir shloisha hedyotos, to tell me that 3 hedyotos, meaning that it's not only Roshei Matos that can take off Nedarim, but 3 hedyotos, 3 regular guys. The Ran says, as long as they don't have to be mumchim, they don't have to have smicha, as long as they understand what they're doing and accomplishing, they're able to go ahead and do it. So you're not limited to Roshei Matos. Good. It can be afilu b'nei, like Shchutei Chutz is Bnei Yisrael. The people who can take off the nether is what is Bnei Yisrael, a regular Joe, a regular guy. Says the Gemara. 1 second. V'ha Roshei Hamatos Kesiv. 1 second. It's kind of Gezeir Shava, you're taking all Yisrael and you're throwing in the Parsha Nedarim, but Nedarim, it does say Roshei Matos. I mean, what, you're just doing away with it as if it doesn't, you're changing the halacha as if it's not stated there. Usually it's onto it something, correct? It doesn't go ahead and totally subvert it, it just adds onto it. Says the Gemara, okay, Amar Rav Chisda v'Item Rav Yochanan b'Yachid Mumcha. It teaches me halacha of that what? That not, you don't need a bezdin of 3. A yachid mumcha would be able to take it off. And that's what Roshei Matos teaches me. That a yachid mumcha would be able to go ahead and take it off. Look at the Ran, guys. For Roshei Matos ksiv umashma aval hedyotis loy. How can you tell me 3 hedyotis? It says Roshei Matos. So the Ran says b'yachid mumcha. The key in the Gezeir Shava marbe hedyotis. The Gezeir Shava is going to include hedyotis because Shchutei Chutz, it says Bnei Yisrael. Again, Bnei Yisrael means anybody, so therefore it's marba, anybody by Nedarim through the Gezeir Shava. For Roshei Matos, Mamayet Lahu, and Roshei Matos is saying, no, not anybody. So what do you have to say? Al Korchoch, Is Lahu L'Kiyumei Travayu. You can go ahead and be Mekayim both of them. Roshei Matos, B'Yochid, V'Hedyotis B'Shloisha. If it's one guy doing it, he should be a mumcha like Roshei Matos. If it's regular Joe doing it from the Gezeir Shava Shchutei Chutz, it's 3 regular guys. How do you know 3? So keeping the mafkas lemichad. Once you leave 2, mukmi atilsa came bezdin. We'll make it like bezdin. In other words, once you're going for 1, why not 2? Let's make it to best. Okay, so guys, okay, let's do 1 more and then we'll put it all together. Okay, now we have Gezeir Shava the other way. You went ahead and you told me Shchutei Chutz what to Nedarim. What does Roshei Matos have to do with what? With Shchutei Chutz? Because we're going to take the Roshei Matos that it says by Nedarim and we're going to throw it on Shchutei Chutz. What does it have to do with that? Okay, so now Rashi Amatis b'shchutei chutz l'may hilchasa. Again, with the Rashi Amatis b'shchutei chutz l'wad halacha. So Amar Rav Sheshes loymar sheyesh sheila behegdish. You can go. There's a din of sheila by hegdish. What does that mean? You could take off the what? The kedusha. If you magdish an animal, you can take off the kedusha. Now, you want to hear this, guys? This is talk about a legal loophole. How's it possibly chayiv karos and then beat the rap? Look at the Ran. Chayiv karos and beat the rap. The second to the last line where it gets wide. Lo mishesh is behegdish. Shem higdish behema, v'shachta b'chutz, v'achikach nishal aleha, pata. The kim sheyesh sheila behegdish, kilu lo yakdisha me'olam. The me the chacham because the me chacham oiker haned me'kara. Guys, a chacham when he's matter, what is he doing? He's saying it was never kodesh in the first place. Nimsa, you never went ahead and shechted an animal. So you have a great loophole to save yourself from karis by shkutei chutz. Right? Even though he did it, it says openly. If the guy shechts it, you can go ahead and retroactively say he shechted chulin. But could he eat it? Why not? I'm saying if retroactively you're saying it's not a carbon, right? So it's chulin. I'm wondering. I'm thinking out loud. But I'll just tell you something, Geshmak. Guys, what's the connection between the Nedarim and shkutei chutz? It's beautiful. Anyone who makes the neder is kilupan a bama. A bama, guys, is a pride from his chutz, and anyone who brings it is like from the kayamet. So you do have. It's not just haphazardly. It's very geshmak zehadava. But according to Rav Nosson, you can apply Rav Nosson's din over here, right, guys? It's geshmak. You can apply Rav Nosson's din. Very, very geshmak. Yeah, it's really once he said it. Very, very geshmak. Okay, I can't take credit. Anyway, so I'll show you. So I'll show you something really geshmak. Did I send it out? I'm not sure I sent it out. Did I send it out? Did I send out anything today? What? I don't think so either. I didn't send out anything today?
Nothing.
Okay, so I'll read it to you. What?
Nothing from this.
Baruch. Kenny, I hope you're not listening. Okay, guys, listen to this. We mentioned in the Masechta, fellas, look at me. We mentioned in the Masechta that Nedarim wasn't learned for 100 years. You remember we said Nedarim wasn't learned for 100 years? Yeah. We said it was the Ramban in the back, and he brought shame the Goinim. The Goinim never learned it. Why didn't they learn it? Because there seems to be a loophole that what? We don't want you making Nedarim. Yesterday's stuff, you're a chayta, hilubana bama. Even if you're going to keep it, we don't want you to make Nedarim. Good? Once you find out there's a way of getting out of it, it's not going to be such, right? So to avoid people knowing that there's such a parak called Nayan HaMurasa, which discusses Hafaras Nedarim and Hataras Nedarim, they didn't learn it. That's the Ramban's brings Hashem Rav Shri going. Good? Now, it's a very interesting thing, guys. Vayidaber Moshe al Roshei Matos lebnei Yisrael Leimar. And Hashem spoke to Roshei Matos Leimar. What was Epis Parshas Nedarim to Roshei Matos? It's very odd. It's the only parsha in the Torah like that. Right? Rashi Matas. Why are you telling the Rashi Matas about Nedarim? Says the Ramban, Ki ain't Sayrich Lulamed L'chol B'nei Yisrael, Sha'ava Bal Yicholim L'hafa Nidrei Inoi Nefesh. You don't have to tell all of Klal Yisrael that a father and a husband can take off Nedarim that have to do with Inoi Nefesh. We'll meet that in the next parak. V'ulai, perhaps, Sarich L'halim Elu HaChukim Mehem. You should hide these chukim from them. That they shouldn't be noyik to go ahead and make nedarim. Who should you teach it to? Teach it to Rosh Hashanah, the big head honchos, who you don't have to worry that they're going to go ahead and be nichshel in the darn. So it's the Ramban l'shitasai, a beautiful pshat, right? Why Rashi Matos, and if you and why it's dafka Rashi Matos for that reason, because of they didn't want people to know this halachas of the darn. It's very geshmak, right? I wrote this at the beginning of the Masechta. I wrote should have me well give this again. I wrote it. This is a good way to begin the Masechta. Why Masechta is so corrupt? The Lashinis is because it is. It's because they didn't learn it. You see, they didn't learn it. You see, it's a Ramban, a Torah Ramban in the back. It's very geshmak. Okay. Now, so outside. So we have a Gzer Shava. Let's go. It's the hands, right? We got Rashi Matas by Nedarim. We got Kol B'nei Yisrael Shchutei Chutz. What does this teach me by Nedarim? That 3 Adyotis could do it. What does this teach me about B'shchutei Chutz? That you can be Shel Behegdish. You could take it off, right? This teaches me you could take it off, right? You can be matter it. You can be matter the Hegdish. That's what it teaches me off. Now, says the word Beishamai, Ulebei Damar Ein She'ela Behegdish. Rashi Amatos Tichsib B'shchutei Chutz T'may Hilchasa. Now, Beishamai never says, fellas. Beishamai says never says there's a din of She'ela Behegdish. He does say. I'll tell you what he does say. He says there's no din of toys by Hegdish. Let's say you have an animal. I think I'm telling you the right thing. Let's say you say, I want that black animal that walks out of the house be Kodesh, and a white animal walks out. So it's Beishamai, there's no Hegdish b'toys. It's Kodesh. So the whole reason why you could be Shel Behegdish, say it's a mistake, right? I never would have made the animal Kodesh. It's a mistake. So if Beishamai says there's no mistake by what? By Kachim, the mele he would hold there's no Sheila by Kachim. So Fred Gemara Kasha. The Fishitas Beishamai, the din of Shchutei Chutz to Nedarim is to teach me the din of Nedarim to Shchutei Chutz is to teach me that there's a din what of Sheila. What are you going to say? According to Beishamai, and for the Gemara, Beishamai less lu Gzer Shava. Okay, no, he doesn't have a Gzer Shava. He doesn't have the Gzer Shava. So in Mela, okay. Now, Shlosh Adyotis?
No, Gzer Shava, you have to someone has to have told it to you.
Hmm?
You have to have a source.
Yeah. So he didn't have such a Gzer Shava. He doesn't have a Gzer Shava. Right? I don't. The Gemara's going to ask. Says the Gemara's going to ask. Says the Gemara now. So how does he know these halachas now? So he doesn't know the Gzer Shava. Therefore, there's no problem. Now Zeh Hadava Parshas Adonim L'May Ksiv. Good. What the Zeh Hadava? What's it for? According to the Brisa, it's for Gzer Shava, right? But according to Beishamai, you don't have a Gzer Shava. What does he do with the Zeh Hadava? So it says the Gemara. Oh, for Ardin, guys. It says for Ardin. What's Ardin? Loima Chacha Mater ve'in Bal Mater. Bal Mefer ve'in Chacha Mefer. Zeh Hadava. In other words, this is the way it's got to be. As I daf sign. Good. Now, Zeh Hadava Shchutei Chutz L'May Ksiv. Right? What does he do with Gzer Shava? What? Okay. So Loimar ala Shchita Chayav ve'in Chayav ala Malika. He's Chayav on Shchita, but he's not Chayav on Malika. Okay, guys, outside, in the Beis Hamikdash with the Oil Soif and Chata Soif, they would do Malika, what the Atzur calls nipping. The Kohen with very hard avoida, he would hold the bird with one hand with his. We did this in Yuma, right? He would take with his finger and he'd go through the back. Basically, you're creating nevela. Basically, because you're going through the. There's no shchita. You're making a tray for. You're going through the vertebrae, the back top vertebrae. Now, what happens if you do malika outside? Is that in other words, you take a bird that's a oilus oif and you do malika? You would not be chayv shchutei chutz. That's what Zeh Hadava means. Dafka shchita, but not malika. Now let me ask you a kasha. This is a good kasha. I think it's valid kasha. We began the whole sugya tonight that a baal can't be matir and a chacham cannot be mefer because it says Zeh Hadava. You just went through a brisa. Who said that shita? Beishamai. So where does Beis Hillel know it from? Beis Hillel has the Gzer Shava, but his Gzer Shava wasn't to teach me that din. His Gzer Shava was to teach me Shlosh Adyotis and was to teach me the din mad of Sheila Behegdish. But where would he know that din from? To say that din that Rabbi Yochanan is saying is din of Beishamai is very schwer, guys, right? You understand the problem? The din that introduced us into the sugya, how we got involved in the brisa, was the din of that the Baal can't use the Chacham's lashon and the Chacham can't use the Baal's lashon because there's Zeh Hadava, and the brisa quotes it, but it's quoting it in the shitas of Shammai. Rabbi Yochanan would say shitas Shammai. So take a look at the Ran. The Ran addresses it. 4 lines down, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the middle of Loima Chachamat the main Baal Mater, right? When it's wide. V'chi tema ul Beis Hillel the mukmilol Gzer Shava min alahu. Beis Hillel who uses the Zeh Hadava for Gzer Shava. Where does he know that the Baal can't use the Chacham's lashon and the Chacham can use the Baal's lashon? Ha'ikol and Meimar diminei nami yofilei. He learns it from Zeh Hadava. Why? Then he the zehadav and nedarim lav mufnahu. Good the zehadav and nedarim is not extra. Even the zehadav the shchutei chutz mufna have le mufna mitzad echad v'lemeidim. In other words, you can have a gzera shava that's extra on one side. So in other words, once it's extra on one side, the zehadav is available. So the zehadava by shchutei chutz would be available to teach me this then. Of course, I'll go back the other way. Okay. Now, where does Beis Shammai know Beis Hillel's din from? El Beis Shammai lahachshe gimel yoytis minalon. Where does he know? Benji's question. Where does Beis Shammai know to be machshe 3 yoytis? After all, if he doesn't have the gzeira shava, he doesn't have the bnei Yisrael of shchutei chutz to apply to Nedarim, which is we're throwing back. Nafkalu midr Rav Asi bar Nosson. He learns that from Rav Asi bar Nosson. Now, Rav Asi bar Nosson is going to have a long-winded brisa, and in this brisa, Beis Shammai will have a source for 3 yoytis. Okay, so again, the setup. Beis Hillel learns that 3 yoytis from the gzeira shava because shchutei chutz says Yisrael. So therefore, we apply to Nedarim even regular yoytis. But Beis Shammai, who does not have the gzeira shava, where does he know it from? So he knows it from the dialogue that's going to take place and the shita of Rav Asi bar Nosson. Hang in there. Dichsiv. Vayidaber Moshe es Mordei Hashem el bnei Yisrael. Parsha of Mayadim in Parshas Emor. Okay. And now, in the parsha, guys, let me just read the parsha to you. You're familiar with it. We learn it every Yom Tif. It shows up all the time. Okay. By Daber Shalom Moshe Leima, Daber Bnei Yisrael V'Mata Leim Moyadei Hashem Asher Tikro Sam. These are the Moyadim that you should call Mikroi Kodesh Elohem Moyadoi. And what's the first one? Sheishes Yomim Teosim Malacha Ubiyom Ashvi Shabbos Shabbos. The first one Shabbos. The next one Elohem Moyadei Hashem Mikroi Kodesh Tikro Sam Moyadam. The Chodesh Rishon B'Abasol the Chodesh Bein Abayim Pesach Hashem. We bring Pesach. Good. So the order we have Shabbos, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. Good. That's the order. Now. Nema Vayidaber Moshe es Moshe bnei Yisrael Vatanya Rabbi Yosei Gluli Omer Moyadei Nemru. It says Moyadim V'lo Nemru Shabbos Bereshis Imahem, and Shabbos Bereshis is what is not counted among them. But Shabbos Bereshis, Shabbos. Good. The Akasha is obvious. I just read you the parsha. It is counted. It is there. Hang in there. Ben Azai Yomer Moyadei Nemru V'lo Nemru Pashas Nedarim Imahem. And it doesn't say the Parshas of Nedarim. Okay? So you have the Chav Gimel, you have the Parshas of Mayadim. Says Rabbi Yosei Gluli no Shabbos, says Ben Azai no Nedarim. Fartik. Now comes along Rav Asi bar Nosson. This is what we need. Kashale. He had a kasha. Hamatznisan asol hamasnisan. This brisa that we just mentioned was difficult, and he wanted to figure it out. And the Gemara will explain the difficulties in a second, one of which you know already. Says the Gemara, he came to Nardoi, Lakamid Rav Sheshes, who was an expert in brises. He couldn't find him. So what did he do? Asa Basrael Mechuza, he chased after Rav Sheshes to Mechuza, and he found him in Mechuza. Amalei, Moedei Hashem Nemru, V'lei Nemru b'Shabbos Bereshis Imahem. That's what it says in the brisa. V'kasiv Shabbos Imahem. 1 second, I just read it to you. It's a Shabbos. Now, the Su. Moedei Hashem Nemru V'lei Nemru Parshas Nedarim, meaning Ben Azai's statement in the brisa. It's written on the side of it. Guys, there's 2 parshas in the Torah of Mayadim. One in Parshas Emor, the other one in Parshas Pinchas. What comes right after Parshas Pinchas? Matos. What's the first parsha in Matos? Nedarim. So it is written. So in other words, but Rav Asi bar Nosson is questioning Sai Rabbi Yosei Glili vis-a-vis Moedim and Shabbos, and Sai Ben Azai vis-a-vis what? Nedarim. So Amalei, so Rav Sheshes told Rav Asi bar Nosson, Hachi Katani. Here's the way you have to learn. I'm in base. Here's the way you have to learn. Moedei Hashem Tzrichim Kiddush Bezdin, Shabbos Bereshis ain't Tzrichim Kiddush Bezdin. In order to go ahead, right? In order to go ahead and be Mekadesh, it's Al Yidei Bezdin. In other words, Bezdin, we have Mekadesh Yisrael Vazmanim. What goes ahead and makes our calendar? The Eidim, and we learned Rosh Hashanah, the Eidim coming and testifying exactly when the Moiled was. So the calendar and the date is Al Bnei Yisrael. Shabbos, automatic, every 7 days. So when it says that my Adim and is in Shabbos, it doesn't mean it's not included in the parsha. It means the Kedusha comes from a different source. It doesn't come from the same way. Moedei tzrichim Kiddush Bezdin, Shabbos Breishis ain't tzrichim Kiddush Bezdin. Right? Moedei Hashem tzrichim Mumcha, the ain't Parshas Nedarim tzrichim Mumcha. The Mayadim to go ahead and be Mekadesh the Levana, that you need is a Mumcha. But Parshas Nedarim does not need a Mumcha, because Afilu Bezdin had Yoitais, even Bezdin had Yoitais. For Parshas Nedarim Rosh Yamatis Ksiv, so Mafkista B'Tem Rabbi Yochanan B'Yochid Mumcha. Okay, so guys, what do you see? You wanted to know Loit ben Shammai, who doesn't learn the Gezer Shava, how do you know Shleisha Yaitos? He knows it from the dialogue that took place between Rav Asi, Reb Nosson, and Rav Sheshes. Then how to touch up Ben Azai. What does it mean? Right? Parshas Nedarim needs a Moedim to be Mekadesh Levana. You need a Mumcha. But what? But for Nedarim, the end next to it, Parshas Pinchas, that does not need what? A Mumcha. Even 3 Adyotis would do it. So that would be Beis Shammai's source, since he doesn't have the Zehadava, the Gezer Shava, to learn out from Shutei Chutz, he's able to go ahead and learn it out what? From this pasuk. And so it took you a while to get there, but we got there. Okay, very good. Continues the Gemara. Amr Rav Chisda v'idhim Rabbi Yochanan b'Yochid Mumcha. You can even use the Yom Mumcha for Nedarim. Amr Rav Chanina hashoisik al manas lemekat. Okay, guys, outside. We know by now that a man can be making his wife's neder or be made for his wife's neder b'yom shamo. On the day that he hears the neder. Okay, there's 2 ways to be making a neder: either verbally saying, "Hey, you said good," right? Like yesterday, you did a good job, or or you remain silent. And we'll touch up as his remaining silent as what? As kiyum. Good. Says Reb Chanina a chidish nifla. Ken zayin. That means it could be. That, right? My ex-Spitzen. My brother-in-law from my youth from Philadelphia can put you in his pocket when it comes to Yiddish. Even though he writes very well. Ken Zayin can schreiben in Abyssal. Now, yeah. So it's very interesting. It means it's very, I don't know what's the Yiddish time. It's very interesting that anyway, so it's very interesting that Rav Chanina is of the opinion the following: if you're making the neder, but you would just want your wife to stew, in other words, I'll give you a scenario. Is it good to make nedarim? Bobblehead, a real bobblehead? No, right? A woman who makes nedarim, what's the husband going to do? He's going to get angry at her. We had Gemaras. I married your manas. There's no nedarim on you. He's going to get angry at her, right? Good. So, you know what he might do as a means of going ahead and teaching her a lesson? He might remain silent, but he really wants to go ahead and be made for it. But to teach her a lesson, if he's made for it, then we have the parsha. Oh, there's a way out, right? Like we just read the whole thing. They make the Nedarim because there's an easy way out. So you know what he might make it do, says Chanina? He might like a stew in her own sauce, in her own juice. Let her sit there. Let her think that I make him the neder. And says Chanina, he has up to 10 days. 10 days is lav dafka, meaning you would not have to go ahead and be made for it b'yom shamo. You would not have to be made for it b'yom shamo. That's what Chanina's chiddush. What? Well, I don't know. Had I know, no, but I'm saying, but this is a chiddush nifla. We're going to slug it up. We're going to slug it up in a few different ways tomorrow. But this is Reb Chanina's chiddush, and we're going to slug it up. Okay. So says the Gemara. Let's see that. Amr Chanina shoysek amanas lemekat mefer afil mikan vad yud yomen. Masiv Rava asked the following kasha. Guys, let's go back to Nisroikna. Let's go back to Nisroikna. The father and the husband take off the neder of a naira al murasa. If the husband's out of the picture when he could have taken it off, when he didn't take it off, he died the day he was made, he was shus or he didn't hear it. Then if he's out of the picture, it reverts back to the father. The sroikna, the chiddush is that what the husband's chelik goes back to the father, and this was the statement of the sroikna. Amosai umru meis habal. Do we say when the Baal dies, the sroikna v'shus la'av, the father inherits the ability to take off the neder of the naira hamrasa? Bisman shaloi shama habal. That's when the Baal did not hear it. Oy sheshama v'shasak, or he heard it and he remained silent. Oy sheshama v'hefer, or he heard it and he took it off. Umeis by bayayim. Right? In other words, that day he died. The window to take it off, either he never heard it, or he remained silent, which is what we need. He remained silent, or what? Or he was made for it. Aval shama v'kayim. If he heard it and he verbally was mekayim the neder, oy sheshama v'shasak, or he heard it and he was quiet, or he heard it and he was quiet, umeis b'yom shel achrav, and he died the next day. He was quiet and he died the next day. Ein yachal hafer. Then what? The father is not being able to make for Allah. No, that would not be the strike. No. My love b'shoisik al manas l'mekat. It must be that what? That he was quiet al manas l'mekat in order to make her angry, and nonetheless it says the what? He's not able to make for. He's not able to go ahead and take it off. It says Malay b'shoisik al manas l'kayim. He was silent for the purpose of being mekayim. In other words, that's the variable that we would expect. Most of the time, the guy is quiet because he's mekayim the neder. Here, you want to say he's mekayim to make her angry? No, he's mekayim to go ahead and mekayim the neder. So therefore, yeah, there's no bearing on Reb Chanina. Good. If you look, guys, look at the brisa. Avol shama v'kiyim, oisha shama v'shasak, umeis b'yoyim shel achrav en yochel afer. Now, if you're telling me shasak was what? That he was shasak v'kayim, it's no different than shama u'mekayim. Guys, what's shama u'mekayim? He heard it, he verbalized it, or he what? He was silent and verbalized it, right? So again, if he's mekayim it, meaning his thought process is I'm mekayim, he just doesn't verbalize it. There's no difference between being kayim and in your mind. There's no difference hearing it and being mekayim in your mind and verbalizing being mekayim. There's no difference. There's no difference whatsoever. If you're going to tell me that what a chiddush, that even though he heard it and he really wants to be made for it, but he wants his wife to slew, that's a chiddush, shama, and nonetheless, if he does that, he can't be made for. But if you're going to tell me that what, that it's just shosak umakayim, right? This is no different than what shama makayim. So what are you telling me? It's speaking about what shosak. It's speaking. It's speaking where he was quiet stam. Okay, let's do it this way. 3 variables. You could either be quiet in mind to mekayim the neder. You can go ahead in your mind, be quiet, be mekayim, in your mind to take off the neder, but you just want to let your wife stew. Or you can stand be quiet. You can stand be quiet. So the Gemara assumed the following: the stand being quiet was out of the parsha. So therefore, I have a case over here where obviously it must mean that he was quiet to make her to let us stew. Why? Because if it was Mekayim, it was quiet to Mekayim. I already said that. It's the same as Shama v'kiyim. So in other words, that variable was stated there. So the other variable must be that what? That he was quiet in order to go ahead and let us stew in a juice. Elama, Kash Reb Chanina. So this is no. There's another variable. Forget that. There's just stam. You were shasak, period, without any kivun. You weren't mechuvin for hafara, and you weren't mechuvin for hakama. That was stam. If you will go ahead and shasak stam, and yachal hafer. But einachinami like Reb Chanina, if you were shasik al manas lehefer, it would work. You wouldn't get an extended period of time. You have no kasha from here, because I can say nisroikna where you can't do it is speaking where he was shasik stam. But einachinami, if he was shasik with the mindset of kiyum, meaning to make her angry, to slew, let her slew, einachinami, it would work. Reb Chanina has held serve from the first challenge. Yes.
Stop. When you know, since to make her stew is unusual.
Again, I'm not. That's your preface. You said that. I would. The way I prefaced it, I would think it makes a lot of sense. If you want to teach your wife a lesson, in other words, your question is based upon your premise. I disagree with your premise. And I could easily say, this makes a lot of sense. The guy, she's making a Nedarim. He doesn't want Nedarim. So you know what he's going to do? Make a neder. So what, you do one thing. Be Mekayim the neder. You don't want to be Mekayim the neder. It's not a good thing to be Mekayim the neder. It's Kilo Bana Bama. So what are you going to do? I'm going to teach her a lesson. I'm going to let her sit and think that, wow, I'm Mekayim the neder, which she doesn't want in the first place because she did it out of anger. And now she's going to change mind. Let her sit.
Well, that's the other way. So if that's prevalent.
I didn't say prevalent. There are three possibilities. When you ask a kasha and you're saying it's a kasha of Chanina, it's got to be this possibility. I just took that possibility out of the equation because there's only two possibilities over here. There's shama or there's shasak. Shasak, you thought it's one of two things. If it's kayim, I already stated that, so it must be go ahead to let it stew in a juice. Says the Gemara, you're not locked into that. There's a third possibility, and that shasak means that third possibility, and therefore Reb Chanina is held served. Have a great day.